All right, so we're finishing up base color today, hopefully. Let's go. All right. So we're just going to be listening to Chrono Trigger today because, well, I don't know if that's going to get taken down, but we'll see. Usually video game music doesn't, but you never know. I still need to do the abstract panels, but we'll do that at some point. Okay. So pretty much going to be business as usual. Actually, I have an idea for what I'm going to do. We actually want to push this more orange. Darker. Actually, I want a bit more contrast there. I'm actually going to also... Why did I make a vector layer? Stop making a vector layer, jeez. And we're gonna put this on, what is it, saturation? Yeah. Okay, that works. I could probably push it a little bit more, but why don't we do that here? There we go. Okay. Shirt. We'll have to do this by hand. All right, so I am curious how the rest of coloring is going to go, lighting and all that. I'm not 100% sure how I want to handle certain things. The most complicated page I see being down here, this one right here. But I'll get to that when I get to it. I colored that foot wrong. Oops. I actually do want to correct that real quick, because that will become relevant later for lighting and such. Come on. Man, I hate that. I really should just paint the... Oh gosh, how am I gonna color this freaking thing? So everything's like a glass tone here, and here. It's the Black Queen. So this would be blue. The inside would be a dark blue. Oh boy. Yo, kid. Good to see you. I can do it. Oh, I don't know. I'll give it a try. We don't want that dark. It is meant to be like a black shroud, though. Maybe pull it more. That's better. Okay. And this on the inside will be blue. I'm gonna have to paint that, aren't I? All right. We're gonna do kind of a... Ooh, that's way too saturated. More blue. blue, honestly. Maybe even brighter. I have to think back to the King and the Wall. Yeah, we'll worry about that later. For now, let's consider what this is going to be. Thinking is kind of a green sea foamy tone. And that will go for this as well. Maybe, we'll see. I really should have figured out this color scheme beforehand, but oh well. The rest of the hand is partially that, but the fingers, the base of the fingers is going to be kind of a not concrete, less concrete, more porcelain look. It's also a form of glass. I was learning this song on piano. Maybe I should pick that one up again. I really don't like this color tone. Let's shoot back. That's too saturated. Oh, whoops. Also, whoops. That's not what I wanted. Don't know why I did that. Ah, dang it. Wait, I still have the color though. Haha. This is, what song is this? It's from Chrono Trigger. It's, yeah, Guardia Castle. That's it. The main, like, castle. You know, JRPG castle. The castle that's in every JRPG. I learned a number of songs from Chrono Trigger, actually. They're really fun. Robo's theme, Magus' theme, a few others. Let me try working with this a bit more. And this is gonna be reddish in tone, almost rust colored. Because this is really old blood. I learned this one as well. Frog's theme. Frog's theme's fun. A little rustier, honestly. More maroon. Well, we'll see about that. Can't get your hands to act independently. Yeah, that's the trickiest part. I know of a technique to help with finger independence. Hands are a little bit trickier. But for finger independence, and it might even translate to hand independence as well. Basically, if you take your hands, this is a really good exercise I picked up from Jordan Rudez of like Dream Theater and Liquid Tension Experiment. If you place your thumb down, right, and then hit the next 5 keys with your hand, right, never lifting your thumb, and then go and do every single finger that way, right? So the next would be your index finger. You hold your index finger, move your finger around, and then your middle finger, and then I can actually show it here, your ring finger, and you move everything else. That can really help with your finger independence. For hands, let's see. Honestly, I think one of the best exercises for that is scales, funny enough. This is why one of the reasons scales is so important. Just running up, like doing the C scale or whatever, and the reason is because the way you do the fingering of a scale with the right hand is different than the left hand, right? Because the left hand you go all the way up to the thumb, and then you carry over with the ring finger. With the right hand, you do the first 3 fingers, and then you carry over with the thumb. So it's forces you to have to use completely different fingers at the same time. So scales are like one of the best things to practice, honestly. Kind of boring, and I don't do it, and that's why I'm not very good at piano, but it does really help. Actually, that's... What kind of stuff would you try playing on piano? I'm curious. I always like to know what kind of stuff people get into. Kind of rusty color. Yeah, I can't beat scales. I remember there was a really funny video I watched. It was, oh, what was it called? Dang it. Something to do with, like, issues professional pianists come across or something like that. And one of them was, he's this professional pianist, right? It's kind of this skit kind of thing. And so he's talking to himself, and he's like, oh, I want to show you a new song I've been working on, or what I've been composing. And he's like, okay, but I have to do my warm-up first. And so he starts doing his warm-up, and it's just a ton of scales and stuff like that, just every single scale. And like 7 hours go by or something like that. And it's like, yeah, that's why. That's why, I'm not a professional pianist, because that's the kind of practice you need to do. It's just, you know, you gotta just do it so much, man. We are gonna push you here and here. There we go. Only ever managed to do it one-handed. Yeah, it's tricky. The biggest thing is there's actually also another method of practice. I learned this in band, where the typical method for, like, let's say you're working on a really hard part, is you slow it down, right? You do a tempo at like 1/6 the speed or whatever, right? Well, there's actually another method that's really good for doing trickier, especially like faster parts, and that is where you take and you, instead of slowing things down, you do what's called chain practice, I think it's called. And basically what that is you play, let's say it's like a 2 measures, 4 beats on 8 notes, so it's 8 notes overall. So you have an 8-note run that you're really struggling with, and let's say it's two-handed, then it's this run that you need to do that's 8 notes on both hands, right? So instead of slowing it down and playing it, which you can do, what you do is you hit 1 note, and then you hit 2 notes, and then you hit 3 notes, and you go until you basically screw up, and then you practice those 3 notes or those 4 notes or whatever you land on until you get them, and then you move on and you add another note in succession until you get the full 8-note span, basically. So you're constantly practicing at speed, but you are doing it progressively. And that's actually a very good method for practicing, especially faster riffs, more challenging riffs. So yeah, that's one I've used a number of times for trickier spots, mostly on like flute, because that's what I did in band. But it can still absolutely be used for piano. It's actually really funny. It's been a long time since I played piano because obviously I don't own one. I sort of wish I do, but at the same time, like, I just can't because I don't have the room for it. But I have an organ, an electric organ from like the 80s. And so I've actually been more learning organ technique more than anything, which is a little bit different. Pretty fun though. I haven't exactly been looking up anything though. I've just been kind of practicing independently and coming up with stuff. We're gonna leave that as that. Actually, you know, this would probably be close to like that. That was featured in Jan's anime. Just went through the... Yeah, no, that's a great method. And if you combine both hands in doing it, that'll really help with your hand independence. A lot. Let's see. I need to do this. I'm not super sure on that color either. Maybe in a little bit more color though. Maybe, I'm not sure. Glass kind of fogs. Maybe I can do that with lighting. But this. Honestly, I really want to do a music stream at some point, playing like mostly just like improving stuff for the fun of it and just seeing what happens. I actually have all the equipment set up to be able to do stuff, but the problem is the soundboard that I'm running with is a hassle, and I need to tear it down and try to fix some things. Have I recorded anything? I'm working on a cover of a song, and I would show you the song, but of course, you know, YouTube's gonna YouTube. Evening there, Trippy. It's been a minute or so, I suppose. Hope you're doing well. Let's see. But yeah, so I've got to tear down the soundboard again, and it's a big boy. It's not fun opening that thing up and prodding around because, man, it's heavy. And then it's, you know, I don't have any like workbench that's big enough for it. So it just sits on the floor for like the next few days while I try to like sort it out. It's a hassle. So I've been holding off. But unfortunately last night I learned, lo and behold, one of my main channels that I use has gone out. And I could technically like just pop on over to a couple of other channels and call it good. And yeah, but I don't want to do that. And the biggest thing, the biggest problem actually is the so there are ribbon cables in the unit, and if you don't know what a ribbon cable is, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's the cables that look like ribbons. And those things freaking apparently go bad, which is really weird because it's a Mackie. And if you know Mackie, they're usually pretty dang robust. I'll ignore. It can be kind of hard depending on how fast the chat could. The chat is moving. Take it from a streamer. You don't always catch everything, and if it's moving quick, then yeah. So chances are it wasn't ignoring you. Yeah, I did see that pop up. Thought that was cool. I don't like that. I don't. What do I want from this glass? also don't like how green that is. Well, let's pull it back then. That's a little bit better. Did a great job entering. That's cool. How do I want to... Let's see. When blood dries out, it stops being shiny, honestly. So I might just do that. Oh, I need to... that actually isn't this. Yeah, interviews can be kind of hard because, like, obviously you want to keep the attention on, you know, the interviewee, but you also don't want to ignore your chat. I've never had to do an interview, but I have done like dual streams, so like having people on, interacting with them. I need to get her hair color, which is same color as her eyebrows. So I can grab it here. There we go. And this is why I separated these layers. Because now this is really easy. Let's see. I should, yeah. Here's the shirt. Oops. I didn't, good. That hand still looks a little bit awkward, but whatever. Oh, I grabbed the... There we go. Okay. No, she's not that tan yet. Alright. Let's see. Also, good to see you, Brunner. Sorry I didn't greet you there. I was a little distracted. Honestly, I can't wait to start doing lighting because when I do base color like this, I just look at the page and I go, oh my gosh, what the frick am I doing? It just doesn't look great. But then you slap lighting on it, it's like, ah yes, this is what this style relies on. Nothing else, just a crap ton of post-processing. Just the way I like it. Would I be able to... Let's see what happens. Again, excellent. Let's see, once this page is done, then we have 3 more to do. Thankfully, the next page should be relatively quick. Next page after that will be long, but the next page after that will be relatively quick. The hardest part is going to be coming up with the color schemes. Oops. That should be correct enough. Why is that clear? Doggone it. Gotta fix that. There we go. I'm still not 100% sold on this. Let me try something here. Let's go darker. Let's go like that. And then let's push you over here. Maybe. I want it to look like foggy aged glass. Glass that's been like pelted by sand and just you can't see through it anymore, right? A lot of that's going to be the lighting, but in the meantime, I need to give myself a good base. Maybe try to bring it up just a touch. Let's try that. We could try that. See what the lighting does. And this will be done in the final phases because I don't feel like doing that right now. Now, this. I know what that color is going to be for that. I know what color that's going to be for that. I know the hand. I don't know the cloak is going to be, but I have an idea. It's going to probably be the same color as the ribbon. The head. I think I can figure something out for that. Better. Let's do the body first. You know, actually, there's an easy way to do this. Goodness. Let's grab all of you. Okay. Let's do the desert as well. Thank you. This page will probably be, I can grab the sun real quick here. A bit of work. Red base for now. The lighting will be a bit of work. Let's, oh, come on. Honestly, I should probably use another color, a very specific color for this. Color plays an important role in this story, so I might actually change this color to something more relevant. Wait. That's the wrong color. There we go. These will also be that. Okay, each of these might change color. I don't know yet. I might do that with lighting, though, honestly. The cloak. Why are you... Okay, so... Okay, hold on, I can... Let's do this real quick. We may even give the cloak a little bit of a regal tone. I might change that tone. Let's try lightening that up a bit. Yeah, let's do that. There we go. And then the cloak, we'll push this way, lighten up even more. That might be clear, actually. Oops. Not like that. No. Maybe something like that. Maybe. This will be bronze in the center. This. Yeah, let's see what happens. We have the sleeve as well. This still way too bright. That's way too blue. Well, it's a point of interest, but that's too much tone. Not so sure about that. It needs to contrast against this. It's got to be something different. We'll go with that for now. This will be maybe like a highlight or something. More of like cream. Hold on. This needs to be changed to more of a this. Let's see what we can do. Honestly, I might just make it the same tone, glass tone. This, we can figure something else out. This as well. Let's try up and maybe back around. Almost. Something like that. Okay, let's go ahead and take care of this now real quick. So, that. Oh, the fun of figuring out color schemes on the fly. I really gotta stop. That's a bad habit of mine. That's the whole album. Am I going to see Oppenheimer? Maybe one day. I don't know. I don't really watch movies when they just come out. I'm interested in the history. I'm interested in a story. I think that's a very interesting story. But I'm, you know, I don't see movies till a number of years after they come out. It's like they'll still be there, you know. I'm not one who's in the habit of going to the theater. I've heard of that. I've not seen anything on it really. Yeah. Sound of Freedom, that is. I don't know. Heard it's good. I don't even know what it's about. I don't know. There's too much to keep up with, honestly. I like movies, but I don't know. I've just been... It's kind of funny. I feel like my... It's not that my enjoyment of movies is gone. I still really enjoy watching movies. But I don't know. I just don't take the time out to definitely see them, you know? Unless I'm, like, invited. Everything still feels grounded. That's cool. Honestly, I've been thinking about this a lot in terms of like where stores are at and where they've gone and where they're going. And I'm like, the more I think about it, it's kind of weird the way that, I mean, it's not all that weird actually, come to think of it, but, you know, I've been talking about this subject with my brother a bit, and I think it's a very relevant subject where essentially like everything feels like it's been essentially gamified, where like it's like everything has a big bad boss, and you have the in the most generic instances you have like the quirky cast who has their abilities or whatever the frick, and they need to have their number be high enough, whatever, you know, whether it's some power level or MacGuffin counter or whatever, you know. In order to defeat him, and I, you know, I get to thinking about that, and it's like, it's like, I don't know, like when everything boils down to that, it's so generic. It's so limiting. It's so boring, honestly. And I think, to be honest, you know, I'm going to be a little biased here, but I think animation is unfortunately kind of entrenched in that prospect where, you know, and I know like everybody loves to like praise anime and stuff like that, but anime is probably one of the most like bare bones, like freaking run for the courts example of that. Oh, is that what it's about? Wow. Okay. Yeah, it just sort of seemed to come out. But you know, I think about like, there's not really a lot of like real adventure films anymore, right? Because if you have something that's adventure, it's usually like that just means action. That's just action with like extra steps, you know. But I don't think that that's what adventure should really boil down to. You can have action adventure, like, right? You know, it's like there's nothing wrong with that necessarily, but like when all it is like, oh, it's an adventure to get to the action sequence. It's not like about the adventure itself. You know? There's more to it than that, right? But that's like where all the flash and awe comes into play. And it's one thing that I really can't relate to other animators on is like the obsession with fight sequences. Like, I like a good fight sequence and whatnot. Like, I can appreciate it for sure. But I just feel like, man, if that's like all you emphasize, it's like, that's so boring after a while. Yeah, that's appreciated. Obviously. I think that, you know, when you deal with stuff like that, it's a fine line to walk, because it can very easily become, how do I want to put this, disturbingly indulgent. And then, of course, there's, oh, we're showing it to, you know, raise awareness. Like, yeah, sure. You don't exactly have the track record to be doing that, but whatever. But yeah, if they handle it with actual respect, then hey, good on them. Yeah, exactly. There, Pen. And like I said, don't get me wrong. Like, I am really impressed with like you know, the big one, like Demon Slayer, like the fight scenes and that. Really good animation. Like, I will never knock them for knocking it out of the park as far as that goes. Or oh, this will get some flack, I know, but even like the animation in, say, Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I know some people here might not be a fan of that series, and hey, that's perfectly fine. But I'll give credit to the animation; it's well done. I don't really have an opinion on it either way. I've never seen it, and I'm not a fan of TMNT, so I don't have any stake in that fight. But you know, I'll give credit where credit's due. That color would be too close there. A good fight sequence has to be like the chess short film you animate. Even without context, you can feel the weight of the battle. Exactly. That's a great way to put it. I would hope that weight came across in that sequence, because that's really what I go for. I want you to feel like something is happening, and you're like kind of scared, kind of excited as to what's going to happen, rather than just like, holy crap, wow, you know, fireworks, you know, kind of feel. That's not what I really go for. And like I say, there's nothing wrong with that necessarily. It just doesn't interest me. And it's just kind of disappointing and kind of lonely that like that is the like go-to when it comes to that's not gonna work. Well, let me try really lightening this, or let's. How do I want to do this? What was I saying? Yeah, but like sequences, like fight sequences and stuff like that. Yeah, I just feel like adventure, you can do so much. You can do so much more cool stuff with adventure, like how they deal with other kinds of situations, right? Like exploration and stuff like that. There's a lot that can happen. You know, how do you face up against the weather of a like, you know, environment you're not familiar with, or maybe like, you know, other, you know, environmental factors that might come into play, or even like how they go about discovering something or something like that. You can, it's your job to make it exciting, right? And I think that if you're just relying on cheap tricks, it's like that's kind of you're really kind of showing your crutch at that point, right? Um, for the animated films from Europe or the more slice of life anime movies, yeah, that's actually a good point. Oh no, that actually sounds really interesting, Pen. I like French animation. I like French comics as well. There's something about that style that really kind of speaks to me. If you can't tell, um, in case you don't know, a lot of my stuff is inspired by French art and such. How am I gonna do this? Let's try. I might need to darken the cloak a little bit. But yeah, I mean, that's the same thing for me. Like, my favorite animated film, bar none, is Song of the Sea. On Netflix last year. I don't have Netflix, but I'm sure I can find it somehow. But I just like stuff that goes out of its way to tell an interesting story in an interesting way. That's really unique, you know. I feel like that's something that we're really missing over here, unfortunately. And I don't even really particularly know why. And we're not completely missing it. I remember there was a movie that came out a good number of years ago now, but it's more modern in my sense of the term modern. It came out in 2014, but it's called Oblivion. Had Tom Cruise and whatnot. I really liked that film, actually. I wasn't perfect or anything, but it told a really interesting story. It had action, but it certainly didn't rely on it. At the showing at CT, nice. That's cool. Yeah. No, that by and large is my absolute favorite animated film. It just tells such a good story in such an interesting way. This might work. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know at this point. I might have to come back to this, figure it out. But yeah, truth be told, I really loved Song of the Sea. And Secret of Kells, actually. Secret of Kells was good. I really didn't care for the story of Wolfwalkers. I think it fell kind of into that trap where it's like it didn't really know what to do with its story, because at the end of the day, like, there just isn't that much there, to be honest, in my opinion. And so the animation was some of the best that they've ever put out, but the story just, I don't know, I think it really fell flat. Oh, nice. I might have to get one of these days. Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people who were into it. Personally, I just didn't care for the story myself. Another one I really enjoyed, despite some kind of weird quirks with the story, was Ernest and Celestine. Apparently there's a sequel coming out. I'm curious what that's going to be like. But I really liked that one. That one was very fun. Very charming. I love the animation in that one. But I just feel like there's, like, you could do more interesting things, specifically in the realm of adventure. Because, like, I got to thinking, like, you know, what are 2D animated adventure films, right? I got onto that topic. And oh yeah, certainly. It's great. The kind of picture books sort of look. That actually is probably, to be clear. Yeah. But, so I asked this question. I was like, okay, what are some American, specifically looking at the American market, American 2D animated adventure films? I can think of two right off the bat as being Atlantis and Treasure Planet. I know there's more. Those are the two that immediately come to mind, though, specifically for the States. And I started like really thinking about it, and I kept on kind of drawing a blank aside from very rare and select things. A lot of them feel overstuffed. That is definitely a factor. Adventure does definitely lean more towards a serial kind of series. You know, something like Avatar or something like that. But it can totally be done. Like if you go over to Japan, the Ghibli films, there's lots of adventure films in the Ghibli lineup. One of the biggest being, or probably the most, like the perfect example of an adventure film, 2D animated adventure film, is like Lapida, or Castle in the Sky. Perfect example, and really well paced, generally speaking. Tells a really fun story. Just a very good movie overall. So it can be done, right? Land Before Time. Yeah. Treasure Planet's fun. I watched Atlantis for the first time not too long ago, and to be honest, I don't think that's a very good film. I love the style. I like the way I put it is the way I say it is, this would probably be an awesome film if it wasn't made by Disney. Not that it's like it can't be animated. I'm not saying like, oh, it should have been live action. No, I love that it's animated. I love the look of the animation, but it feels too Disney for what it is. Like, basically. Yo, Guilty Gear. Guilty Gear head. That's kind of how it feels. Exactly, yeah, that's exactly how I feel, Pen. Treasure Planet didn't have that as bad. Treasure Planet was a little bit more balanced. It did have kind of a few of those moments, but it didn't like. It wasn't so egregious that it completely overshadowed it. But yeah, so that's kind of my conclusion there is like, I want not Disney to make this film. I want someone to come along and just make a really good like adventure film out of this, and like actually one that makes sense, because you know, when the characters don't understand their own technology, even though they were alive at the time of whatever calamity, that doesn't make sense. The heck is going on there? I guess. Actually. But let's see. So as far as other adventure films, very specifically adventure films in animation, 2D animation. Because in 3D, it's a little bit more present. Oh, there's also Sinbad by DreamWorks. That one's not very good either. I'm gonna be honest. That one's, yeah, not the best. I just want something like really like just a genuinely good film, you know. It feels like, it so often feels like it's like, oh, it's animated. It has to be like a certain way or whatever, right? So it ends up becoming like almost a stereotypical animated film, right? Especially over here. I mean, if you like it, that's, you know, hey, more power to you. I don't know. There was just a lot about it that I felt wasn't the strongest. I mean, this goes with a big disclaimer. Out of everything I talk about, like I would much rather watch it rather than like 90% of what comes out nowadays, right? At least it had, you know, some semblance of a heart, right? Yeah, that's another really good point there, Penn. Quiet moments, yeah. Gosh, yeah. Isn't that the truth? Oh, I need to paint her eyebrows. Yeah, that's a big thing. I kind of try to bring to the table as well. Because like, I think about like you know, as far as action, the action sequences that really stand out in my head, and I'm not even alone in this. I'm not like some like outsider when it comes to this, because like this is like really universal. Actually, is people really appreciate a very tense moment in an action sequence. So a good example is something like the fights from the Duelist, or the Duelists, whatever it is, where it was very grounded. It was very real. The technique he used, the style of it, just everything. It was actually based on a true story. One that was actually stranger than the actual story in the film, funny enough. But there's just these moments of just nothing's happening, and you're just like into it, right? Yeah, the Croods is fun. I actually really enjoyed that one as well. I was surprised. Yeah, it's called The Duelist. It was Ridley Scott's first feature film that he did. And it follows the lives of these two guys who were these officers in I think it was the French military, either that or the British military, the English military. I can't remember, but very like just haughty, like, you know, soldiers basically, right? And in real life, they had like a contract. They were actually very good friends. Actually, in the movie, they're made to be like just straight up rivals, and they were, but as comrades, essentially, as comrades in arms. But they had, in real life, they had a contract. They were contractually obligated that if they were within a certain range, like 10 miles of each other, and they were aware of it, they had to duel, basically. It's so weird. And so, like, they had, like, over 100 duels or something like that, would, like, horribly maim one another, because, you know, they're using real swords and whatnot. Never killed each other. So the movie basically follows that, and it's done in a very like recreating the scene kind of way, you know, and so very true to the era and everything. Fairly accurate from what I understand. Why are you? What the heck? Okay, weird. But yeah, but you know, people really do appreciate that, right? Like that stands out. I need. Apparently, we have met with a terrible fate as well. But yeah, I really do think. Oh, Zelda Wave, sweet. You're right that there just isn't enough stops. Just everything needs to be moving all the time. If you're not chasing after a MacGuffin, you're doing it wrong. And that's kind of another thing coming back to the whole gamification. How many movies do you know, especially modern movies, that are just fetch quest the movie? Like, there's a lot. Like, every time I hear the synopsis of a plot nowadays, it feels like it's like 90% of the time it's a fetch quest. Like, we got to get the MacGuffin or whatever, right? And like it's not necessarily a problem having a goal, but when it's like that's it, right? Because all you know how to do is action sequences. That's boring. It's as boring as a fetch quest in an MMO, right? That's definitely a trend I've noticed has picked up. Is the use of just fetch quest mentality in films. Yeah, I just landed on something called Zelda Wave 2 by Marble Ponds. He did Zelda Wave 1 quite a few years ago. This was actually 3 years ago. I remember waiting for this because I came across his first one. I thought it was really good. So highly recommend Marble Ponds. Kind of fitting that someone calling himself a pawn is the music over this story. But yeah. It's kind of funny though, because like as I've mentioned before, I have no interest in making games, like video games and stuff like that, but I'm surprisingly inspired by them. Like I take a lot of inspiration from games, not least of which is Zelda, funny enough. But one of them is a game called Ico, and it's kind of popped up in popularity, especially after everyone discovered Shadow of the Colossus. But that's a big one that really kind of shaped my perspective on what can be interesting. You know, because when you're a kid, like everything's kind of like fireworks, right? Like everything tries to kind of be fireworksy. But that game, you know, not a kid's game at all. So it's very like, it's much slower. It's much more quiet. It's much more methodical. It's much more minimal. And that's a big thing, right? At the end of the day, it's just a story about two characters trying to get out of the castle, right? And yet it's enthralling because of the way it's portrayed. It's so like, there's artistry to it, right? And I think that that's kind of the key is if you do it with such confidence in your artistry, it'll be fascinating. That's kind of what this story here, The Blind King, is attempting to do. I think I've succeeded for the most part. People are interested, and that's, you know, very telling. So that's why I'm really glad when people take interest, is because it's like, oh, it's working, you know? It's not like mathematically calculated out to be like the perfect story that's gonna like make everybody enthralled, right? Or anything like that. But it's meant to be discovered and explored, right? A lot of stuff just isn't meant to be explored nowadays. I don't feel like when I watch a modern movie, I'm exploring, like I'm discovering something. It's like it feels too much like it's just it's put in front of you. Here's your slop for the day or whatever. Have fun, right? So, yeah. One of the interesting things that come out of films, stories. In many ways, yeah. No, there is a lot of that. You can really kind of wears it so obviously on its sleeve sometimes as well. It's just I don't know. And it's so awkward because like there's sort of this like almost necromantic perspective on legacy as well. Like like, I don't know, when I was younger, it's like, yeah, Star Wars was a thing, but now it's like everything, right? Like it's talked about as if it is this like cultural magnum opus, like, and it can never be, you know, like done again, right? So we have to like carry the corpse forward as much as possible, and all the while, like, it just, I don't know, it's so like, it's so ironically stuck in the past, right? Because the whole idea is, you know, they're trying to make it for modern audiences or whatever, you know, they're trying to do. It depends on who's at the helm that week, because it's a freaking revolving door of leadership, if you can call it that. Um, but it just is like, I don't care. Like, I don't know. It's just weird the way that things are talked about. Like, and the whole, it's the same thing with like superheroes, where it's like, oh yeah, here's these 100-year-old characters you know and love. Like, they're so important, you know. Give us money, you know. Like, it just, it's like, no, they really aren't, and that's the point. It's they're comic book characters. It's a movie, you know. It's, I don't know. It's just weird. Just turned it into this bizarre, like, I don't even know what you would call it. Cult of culture? Cult of, not even culture. It's not even culture. It's because you left the culture behind, you know? Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's, you know, that's what I'm interested in. Like, I mean, if I want the old stuff, I'll just go and watch the old stuff. I have no problem going back and watching black and white films. In fact, I quite like black and white. And I especially like when a film so genuinely tells its story, as a lot of black and white films do, right? I watched Seven Samurai last year. Blew my freaking mind, man. That was such a good film. I don't need a remake, right? That movie doesn't need to be remade. Not even close, right? Cult of self-indulgence. Yeah. That's a part of it, at least. I think there's more to it than that, but that's a good, like, kind of jumping off point. Because, yeah, it is, actually, yeah, because, like, it is a self-indulgence, because, again, you're kind of, like, praising... It's all, yeah, it's all about praise. Even if it's not, like, a self-praise, it's, like... You're still a part of it, right? So it's this, like, pride in it, right? So there's exact that, and that's the other factor is, you know, the whole, like, you can't risk it, right? You do a risk, the investors will pull out, right? So you gotta sell it, right? And that's kind of the origin of it. That's the kind of logic of it. That's where the logic lies, because all the other stuff is completely illogical, right? Of course, that's still illogical as well because it doesn't actually work. But you know, no one tell them that. um, I don't know. I just feel like there's more to it than that. I mean, yeah, that certainly is a part of it, but like, I do feel like there's more to it, whether it is a sheer, like, desperation or what. I don't know. But it's just kind of ugly, honestly. That's kind of my perspective. It just feels really ugly. So you make an ugly film because of it, right? Because it's... Ah, dang it. Doesn't know what it is. So it becomes out very angry, very, very bitter. I don't know. We actually we want let's. Try that. Maybe. Again, the lighting is going to really bring this scene to life. That page will look cool when it's done, but for now we're going to move on because we need to. Because it is 8 o'clock and I still have 2 pages to do. Oh, it's going to be a long one. Oh, it's going to be a long one. Thankfully, this one should actually go fairly quick since I'm just doing base colors. But, yeah. I don't know. Let's do this color for the sands. At least this color. And we'll that'll be a different color as well. Dang it. All right. But yeah, I think actually that comes back to the point I was making earlier where it's like, oh, they want to get in on the action of making something like Star Wars or whatever, right? Where it's like Star Wars becomes this like universal maximum, right? This like, and perhaps in a way it is, financially speaking, right? You don't get much more profitable than something like Star Wars. And so, yeah, if that's all you care about, then, well, yeah, I guess that is the best that you can hope to achieve. How sad. This flag, I want this flag to be kind of a little bit more green. That's gonna get lost. Yeah, that'll be better. This can be do like kind of a red spot here. I certainly believe that we need more new stuff. Certainly believe that we need just more enjoyable works. It's kind of the problem when you try to be something you're not in a place that just makes no sense to be that. Yeah. I did learn a version of the song on piano as well. This one was a fun one. Very cool song. This will work because we don't have to worry about lighting for now. Eventually we will. Eventually we will have to worry about lighting. But for now, just go about this this way. Lip, and the inside is going to be a darker color because it's inside. And when your insides are outside, they are lighter. Or, yeah. Darker than that even. Darker than that. Not that saturated then. Funny enough, man, I remember when I was younger. So I had a PSP, right? And there was an internet radio app, basically, right? And I remember there was a radio station on it called WZMR, World Zelda Music Radio. And I used to listen to the crap out of that station for hours while I would write. It was honestly the best. That was so much fun. I actually want this to be more on the green side, but not that much. Basically, there's like a pool of water there, essentially, right? This bench, we can just make this bench like something like that. Now we need to do all of the little like detail works. So and I think I might be able to get away with doing a lot of that. Yeah. But yeah, so I listened to a lot of Zelda music while I would write when I was younger. That was fun. Yeah, it was a good time. I looked to see where WCMR went, see if it was still around. I don't think it is, unfortunately. I wish it was. Because it was honestly great. I mean, it played a lot of the same music over and over again, but like, you'd get new tracks. That's where I found a really good cover of Stone Tower Temple. I'll have to see if I can find that version again. I'm sure it's around on YouTube and whatnot. But man, yeah. It was that and Pandora Radio. So it'd be like 3 in the morning and I'm like headbanging to Coheed and Cambria. While writing stuff. Ah, it was good. It was good times. Honestly, I miss that. Like, it's been such a long time since I just honestly wrote. I really miss it. Because I used to just spend hours writing. There was one book I was working on when I was in middle school. And very sadly, I learned, actually, I think last year, I lost it. I had lost it actually a number of years prior and didn't realize it. And it is now in the eternal void and whatever memories I have of it. And so I wrote down everything I remember. And make no mistake, it wasn't a good story. I wrote it when I was in middle school. It was exactly, yeah, it's, you know. But looking back, I still really appreciate that story. And like, I wish I didn't lose it. I would have loved to go back and reread it. Yeah, I was pretty disappointed. It's not the end of the world, but man, I was very sad. So, I don't know if I could rework it into an actually workable story. It would take a bit of work. The concept was kind of neat, but it definitely, you know, needed a bit more direction. I was very much a just write what comes to mind kind of writer when I was a kid. And I sort of still am, but I'm a lot more organized. I know what I'm actually doing for once. But, yeah. I took a lot of inspiration, funny enough, from old music videos. So, like, Peter Gabriel and mostly Peter Gabriel, honestly, because his music videos are amazing. But, oh, who else? Rush. There's more. Took inspiration from just about everything. A lot of music, honestly. Especially once I started listening to, like, Yes and stuff like that. King Crimson. There's still a possibility I could find that story somewhere. I'm pretty sure I backed it up on a server, but I have no idea where that data went. So. Yeah, funny enough, when I got into high school, I stopped writing as well. My computer didn't crash or anything like that. I just kind of set it aside, especially after I realized, you know, because you look back and obviously you've grown up a bit and you get better. I genuinely do think that that's what really made me kind of excel at writing when I was younger. Was just the fact that I would go home and just, that's what I would do late into the night, especially over the summer. Gosh, I wrote so much. And so, I need the color of her mouth. And so, and her tongue. The tongue is brighter than the rest of the mouth. So we'll do it this way. And so I kind of set it aside, and especially after I realized, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not even through the first draft. I'm gonna have to do another draft. Holy crap. See, well, what ended up happening for me is I started getting into digital art. First with like multimedia and stuff like that. And I was still interested in telling stories, but I slowly developed into doing like drawing and stuff like that. And then I really realized that just the doors that opened, and then animation, that was even more doors, right? It's really fun to go back and look at that stuff. Kidpin, yeah, for sure. If you can remember stuff, I recommend writing it down. I should probably do that as well. Just write down my old generic ideas because they were fun. I'm not a fan of like, I know there's a lot of people who like kind of like indulge in kind of bashing on their younger self essentially by going back to their old art or whatever and being like, oh, I was so stupid and stuff like that. It's like, well, yeah, but I don't care for doing that because I still, you know, appreciate what I was doing. You know, I still enjoy what I was doing. I don't know. It's like that'd be like looking at your baseball photos or something like that. You know, your freaking like t-ball coach pitch baseball photos. Like, oh, what a loser! He thought he was gonna be a baseball player. It's like you were a kid having fun. Like, it's like let yourself have fun. You know. I don't know. That's kind of how I see it, right? Um, I don't know. I still appreciate my older art. It's not good. It's like, yeah, but of course it's not good. That's not why I did it. It's coming from a really authentic place. Yeah, exactly. Now, if you're doing it in a very like inauthentic way, like being all edgy or something like that, then I mean, okay, yeah, like you can kind of take the scruff out of your own neck kind of idea, but even then, right? Yeah, no, yeah, I don't think it encourages you to look back on your stuff and kind of see that progression because now you're kind of detaching yourself from your younger self. You're kind of looking down at yourself, which is really weird, honestly. I mean, there's some art I have that I just am like, oh boy, but yeah, I don't know. I won't ever like just kind of bash it as some weird insecure attempt to like disassociate from it or something. Well, I don't know. I always came at stuff. It's funny, like my interests haven't really changed all that much since I was in like I don't know, middle school really. Like I still like a lot of the same music, you know, prog rock and stuff like that. I still like a lot of the same games that I liked when I was a kid. Stories, books, um, art, movies, for the most part. So all that inspiration kind of still sits the same. I've just added onto it over the years. In a Snowbound Land is the name of this track. This is a lovely track. This feels like, man, I would love a new, like, really well done Donkey Kong series. Kind of like what oh, what's his name? Alex Henderson, I think it is. What he's been doing, man. I want him to make a Donkey Kong Country animated series. And I know that's completely unrealistic, and I can't expect that of him because he's just one dude doing his thing. But man, like, it's so much fun. I don't know. There's something really fun about the Donkey Kong characters. They're just, I don't know. They're just really fun. Just a lot of charisma with them. And just to be clear, like an actually good animated series. I know that there already is one. All right. Let's grab hair. Well, and what I like about, especially what I like about Donkey Kong is like, you know, you have it's a very goofy kind of premise, right? This gorilla who gets his banana stolen, he's got to go beat up a crocodile, right? It's very silly, but it has this really genuine atmosphere too, especially like the older games and stuff like that. Where you know you have music like this, so it's a great blend of just that whimsical kind of silliness with that just atmospheric, you know, exploration and adventure. You know, there you go, right? That's funny. That's right. So you, let's see. I'm trying to remember, Kidpen. You did do cleanup as well, right? I think that came up. And you do animation and stuff like that, if I'm not mistaken. I was part of a couple of reanimates. I did a Rayman Origin, the Rayman Origins trailer reanimate, which was a pretty fun one. And then I did the Frontier Psychiatry reanimate, which that one actually, man, I was so impressed with the team on that one. That one was really well handled. My friend H Rabbit did a great job directing that. It's fantastic. Came out really good. I was very happy to be part of that. I've had this really funny idea. It would be so much work, but it would be so great to take Donkey Kong. And I have this whole idea of this whole situation where it's like him and the Kongs basically have this like bar, basically. So you have like Lanky Kong as the bartender and stuff like that. But like it'd be fun to do a thing where, you know, so Donkey Kong plays drums, right? So he sits down at the drum set on the stage or whatever, and it would be like a kind of a solo opening thing. Be a really good practice for like just animating drums and stuff like that. It'd be really good practice. Be a lot of work, but it'd be so much fun though. That'd be so cool. That's fair. Yeah, cleanup takes a long time. That's kind of why I'm doing what I do, where I'm not really gunning for a whole lot of cleanup work. Because, boy, when you do that, it definitely takes your time. It took a lot of time while I was working on Lackadaisy. But it is fun, and I don't know, it's more relaxing than animation because I don't feel super strong with my animation. Like I can animate a lot of really complicated action, but I am not quick when it comes to it. I know what I'm looking for, and I can get it eventually. But I'm just not as strong with poses as I would like. Yeah, I worked on Lackadaisy. I was a cleanup artist. I actually even have. They did a meet and greet. I didn't really go to it. I was a little bit occupied, and it's not my thing. But I got a. I can't really see it, but I got a. These were the invitations, so got those mailed to me, which is fun. So yeah, I'm part of the crew, part of the Lacka crew. Yeah, right, Kidman. I think that would be super fun. Just like him, and him, like he'd be a really good drummer. Like this total like, just super good drummer. But yeah, no, Lackadaisy was a good time actually. Had its ups and downs here and there, but generally speaking, it was a good experience. Especially like it was my first job right out of university as far as like animating goes. And so would her no, 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 no. I think there is one. But yeah, it was really fun. The crew was good. The directing was solid. Um, just generally, it was really fun. Apparently, Taxi, good to see you. I'm actually surprised to see you up this late, but glad nonetheless. I think that... Yes, here we are. Okay. Yeah, kind of surprised to see you, but it is a welcome surprise for sure. Where is... There you are. Yeah, it's lighter. Okay. It's so funny looking at like how I've changed how I draw the character. There are parts about this style that I like, but in general, my line work has gotten a lot cleaner. I do think that this has a bit more character, perhaps. I don't know, maybe I should re-explore making sketchier lines like that, but either way. More of a good night. Ah, I see. Well, staying here for a little while, I'll put you right to sleep. Better than, what's that? Like, melatonin. I see. But yeah, looking forward to working with the Lackadaisy crew in the future, hopefully. It's fun. We'll see where it goes. I don't know. I guess my line work has gotten a lot better. That's good. It's always good when you improve. I have gotten a little bit lazier in certain aspects, but it's just for the sake of time. It just, you know, making a comic takes a long time. It just does. I'm only one man. I can't do impossible levels of quality. But I hope I can do good enough to tell a good story. Now, it's actually, it is, yeah, here we are. Let's see. But yeah, I'm mostly trying to get into a routine where I can put enough time in my own work to make progress on projects and stuff like that, because I totally get it there, Pen. Yeah, you get busy and there's isn't all the time in the world to work on stuff, but hey, if you can put a little bit in every now and again, you can get further than you think most of the time. One-man army. Try to be, you gotta be, you know? I can't afford to pay anyone to do it. That was my logic for learning animation. I was like, well, it's gonna be a reality. It's gonna be through blood, sweat, and tears. It's gonna be all mine, basically. Not that I wouldn't want to hire someone. I absolutely cannot afford it. Maybe one day. I'd love to give people work. But yeah, I'm hoping with this project I can really kind of, you know, get people interested in my work. This kind of becomes my secondary job. I try to put a lot more effort into this, and I kind of fail, to be honest. Because, like, theoretically, I should be able to put in more hours than I am, but I don't know. I've been really tired. You know how it is. You know the way it goes. I don't know. I just try not to burn myself out, especially considering, you know, I have to come back to work eventually, right? And so I don't want to show up just burnt out and bitter and like, oh, great, now I have to teach kids, right? So, kind of a responsibility thing as well. And I'm honestly I'm okay with taking things, you know, at a decent pace, right? I think that that's really important to kind of encourage. It's just don't kill yourself for this stuff. Summoning salt. We about to learn the speedrunning history of comic coloring here. Tell you what, in the spirit of this song. Oh my gosh, I have so many more pages or panels to do. I'm gonna see how fast I can speedrun this page. Actually, that's a terrible idea. I don't know what his color scheme is. Never mind, I'm not doing that. But yeah, so I, generally speaking there, Taxi, I just kind of chill and prep for the next year. I have a lot of work I need to do for like prepping stuff. I'm kind of like, I help out with things at the school still, here and there. I've actually got something I need to take care of here in the next couple weeks. I really need to get that kind of going. So yeah, we'll see. Honestly, what I really should be putting more work into is I want to be offering more stuff for people to enjoy in different places like Ko-Fi and stuff like that, where they're like, basically I want to sell more stuff. That's kind of what I want my second job to be. And, you know, turn this into some kind of, you know, profitability. Because I want this to be more than a hobby. I've always wanted it to be more than a hobby, but that's tough, right? That's kind of the hard sell. Especially when you take a long time to work on stuff. Yeah, it's good to take breaks. Okay, what is his color scheme? He is part of the Blind King's echelon, so one thing I'm going to be really curious about is how people, I guess, interpret the story when details start coming out about it. Especially in Chapter 3. Chapter 3 is going to be a big chapter for that. So Chapter 3 is going to be tricky. Chapter 3 might take a while, honestly, but we'll see. But then, after Chapter 3 is done, oh boy, that's like the home stretch, because I only have 2 more chapters after that. It's kind of funny, actually. So I've had so many people ask if I sell this. I might start looking into that, but I don't know. I don't know if I want to sell it as a collection of works and then one book, or as just one book. I don't know. I think I have other ideas that would work that way better. Stuff that would really kind of actually work in an anthology fashion. But I gotta make that stuff as well. I have one that would be a lot easier than this book. One idea that I should just, truth be told, I should just start doodling it and putting it out there and, you know, seeing what happens. It's also been a while since I just drew. I will say that, like, despite the fact that I'm working on my own stuff, all I've worked on for a while is the blanking. And it's kind of unfortunate because I feel like, you know, I'm getting better at art, but like there's certain things that I feel like I could really like get better at tackling, like more technical aspects of the work. His skin is kind of this ashy gray, greenish. Let's see if we can do here. His skin's weird. He has weird skin. That's too dark. Maybe something like that. His gloves, I'll make like kind of a cream color maybe. Let's see here. And I need to think of the metallic composition of his harpoon. What color harpoon would this guy have? Okay, that actually looks cool. All right. Would it be a bronze harpoon? That'd be a heavy harpoon. Well, it's... Nah, I think he would just have... See, he doesn't have to worry about rust. It's a big part of it. So he'd probably just have a... I think he'd just have a steel harpoon. Rest of it. This is probably the same. Nah, I don't like that. But the threading would be probably like a red, actually. What is my favorite anime in regards to art and animation? You know, it's kind of funny. I got to having this conversation. Not to, I will get to your point. I'm not ignoring it. But as a side note, keep this in mind while I talk about this because it's, you know, kind of interesting. I think I really don't like anime. I've watched quite a bit of anime, but in general, it's not a style I typically would say I like. It just, I'm not a fan of the style of animation. I'm not a fan of the style of design, typically speaking. There are certain eras that I like more than others. I will say the older eras, 90s, early 2000s in particular, I'm more okay with. But even then, typically speaking, I just do not care for the look of anime. It's why I don't draw anime. Um, that being said, I do have a favorite series. And that series, fittingly enough, as I mentioned, early 2000s, is Ghost in the Shell standalone complex. Oops. I thought, when I first watched it, I thought that series was fantastic. The animation is awesome. I love the characters. I thought that the story was really cool. One of the biggest things that really kind of sold me on that series was there's a part in the beginning. It's like the first episode, so it's not really spoilers, but the kind of main character talks to one of the other characters on her team because they're basically a special, really high quality special forces police force, right? Police task force. And she looks at one of her people under her command, right? One of the other characters, and it's like, hey, good job today. You did a really good job today. And it's like, boom, right there, a cohesive team unit, right? It's like, how often do you see that? You know, like way too often. I was so frustrated where it's like, oh, we all hate each other, but we're the best around. It's like, no, you wouldn't be the best around then if you hate each other. Like you have no sense of teamwork then, very clearly, right? You're all trying to stab each other in the back and being petty as crap. It's like, what do you mean you're the best around, right? Yeah, so that is definitely my favorite anime series. I like the style. I like the subject. I'm into kind of that, like, you know, tactical military kind of stuff, the conspiracy side and stuff like that. It's cool. It's really cool. Do I hate 3D animation? No, not at all. I don't do a lot of 3D animation. It's just not a style that has attracted me in terms of its result. Although I am beginning to integrate it more into my workflow, using different techniques and stuff like that. The funny thing is that, like, the realms of 2D and 3D are really becoming blurred, which is interesting. Ghost in the Shell standalone complex there, Guilty Gearhead. Like the old painted backgrounds that were popular in the West in the olden days. When you say, like, in Western animation, I'm not sure I follow there, Bruno. But yeah, highly recommend standalone complex if you're into, especially if you've seen Ghost in the Shell and you like it. Like, there's no reason not to, honestly. In fact, there's like all the reason to. Truth be told, I actually like it better. I like that world and that story better in series form. I think it works a lot better than what it did in the movie. Let's see. But yeah, no, I absolutely don't hate 3D. In fact, there's been some really good 3D animation these last couple of years. There's been a lot of bad 3D animation as well, but you had the first Spider-Verse movie, which I really enjoyed. I thought that was very fun. You had, and then Puss in Boots. Puss in Boots movie, which was very good. That was very enjoyable. Ooh. Oh, ho, ho. Fancy. All right. Yes, Western media. Okay. In the attempt to make animation seem more lifelike, you lose the soul of animation. Well, what I would say is you don't hate 3D, you hate where 3D has been taken, which is, you know, the VFX, like realism and stuff like that. But you can absolutely do very good stylization with 3D. I've heard that the second Spider-Verse is pretty good, but just that makes me happy. Kind of freaking sucks that, you know, the animators had to be abused to make it happen, but I mean, like, freaking, you know, the sky is blue too, right? You know, so kind of what's to be expected, unfortunately. So I can't really get behind that, but hey, you know, it's a good movie, I guess. I do hope that conditions do kind of change and we actually really start to figure that crap out, because, you know, I'd rather not have to join an industry that would want me dead for the sake of a project. All right, Taxi, take care. Appreciate you coming by, and yeah, I'm glad I saw you. It's been a while. But yeah, I absolutely do agree, Brunner, that there is a lot of boring 3D animation. However, there's a lot of boring 2D animation as well. And the reason is because either, yeah, they try to be too realistic, and it just kind of becomes pointless, or it all looks the same. Those are the two things that I find to be ever increasingly boring in terms of animation. Less comic booky, but it still has the same energy and passion behind it. Nice. That's good. I'm gonna pull this over here. Yeah, we'll do that. I'm so excited to, like, for you guys to meet this character. I love this character. Oh. Am I? Yeah. Yeah, actually. How would I rate the Black Cauldron with regards to animation? Like the style of animation? So when you say style, are you referring to quality as well? Because if it's just style, I would be willing to stretch it to like an 8 out of 10. It's got a look about it. If you're talking quality, I'd probably knock it down to like a 7. Because it just, yeah. One of your favorite Disney movies? I watched it. That one didn't really click with me. There were things I liked about it, but in terms of quality, I'd probably about like a 7 out of 10. It's not the worst. It's pretty well done. And in terms of like I said, certain aspects, especially in the style, it's unique. So it's neat. But there's a lot about it that it just didn't click with me personally. I didn't grow up with it, so that might be a kind of a good factor, big factor. Crap. Oh, good. I was smart. Okay. I was afraid I was going to have to do all these cracks, and the answer is I'll have to do some of them. That being said, how do I want to do that? I will... I'm actually going to just white out these cracks. But yeah. Honestly, like, the more I look back at Disney as a whole, there are some Disney films I do really appreciate and enjoy, but there's a lot that just, I don't know. It just... I can appreciate them as the classics that they are and everything like that, but maybe, I don't know, maybe it's just the bitterness of you know, modern Disney. Because honestly, Disney worked as Disney. I don't really think Disney works as much else, though, if that makes sense. So as they're trying to kind of take over the world, it's like really doing numbers on the quality of a lot of things, and I don't think I'm alone in saying that. It's a combination of 2 books. Had to leave all the best parts out. Okay. Interesting. Prince is barely in it. Interesting. I picked Tarzan as your favorite. That's a good one. I haven't seen that one in a while. That actually has a very unique style of animation. I mean, it looks interesting as well, but when I say style of animation, I mean the movement itself. Usually when I talk about animation, I am talking about movement. That's actually that's one of the things I teach my students is I quiz them. I'm like, okay, what is animation the art form of? It's not the art form of pretty pictures. What is it? And they respond, it's the art of beautiful motion. And so that's kind of so looking at Tarzan has a very unique sense of motion to it, and I think it's a lot with like what Glenn Keane did, particularly on the character. Did with the character of Tarzan, of course. It just has a real sense to it, a very unique sense. Am I back? I went down there for a second. A little bit of a hiccup. Looks like we're back, though. You guys miss anything? Okay, sweet. It was animated in France, and that actually answers a lot of questions there, kid. That's interesting. I did not know that. Developed that deep canvas 2.5. Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense. That actually, wow, that really clicks. That's funny. That is very French in its movement. That's funny. Wow. That's really interesting. I have to say, I really do appreciate French animation. There's something very cool about their sense of timing over there. I don't know what it is necessarily. They just feel very poppy. It has this very nice feel to it. A lot of the stuff in Primal was animated in France, and it has that. Of course, Ernest and Celestine was animated in France, and it has this lovely timing to it. I really appreciate it. I'll have to do some studies on that. Oh, cool. So is Prydain what Black Cauldron is based on then? Or is that another series? Yes, I have seen Tech on Concrete. That's a very unique film. That actually is a very interesting film because I watched a video kind of talking about it, and I guess it was the first Japanese animated film, specifically Japanese animated film, like as in it was for a Japanese market, directed by an American. So kind of an interesting footnote in the history of animation in that way, but very unique in terms of its style. Obviously, because the creator, honestly, the creator of that story, he also did Ping Pong, the manga, and Ping Pong the anime. He's kind of inspiring because he so thoroughly goes in his own direction, and especially in a place like Japan, where there's kind of an expectation for style, right? Very heavily in that culture. To be able to do that, that's really admirable. Okay, I see. There, Brunner. That's cool. But yeah, no, Tech on Concrete was interesting. I still need to check out Ping Pong the anime, see what that's about. I've heard it's very trippy. Yeah, pretty bizarre, pretty crazy stuff. What's up, Richard? Oh, it's the traits taught in those books somehow will reach your soul and make you want to act like a high king Turan. Well, hey, you know, you need that stuff. I think it's, you know, it's kind of funny on that note how, like, I don't know, I think it's really unfortunate that, like, you know, when you're young, right, when you're, like, you know, just going to school, you know, kindergarten, 6th grade, the kind of shows you watched were these very, like, encouraging shows, right? These shows that encourage good action and stuff like that, like the obvious stuff. Like, it's good to share and stuff like that, right? And as you get a little bit older, you get into middle school, you still kind of have that where you have these stories of bravery and, you know, heroes and stuff like that. But then it's just really weird how when you get into like the young adult side, especially nowadays, there's just this kind of cynical overload, I find, where it's like, oh, now we can kind of be like, it's like, oh, now we get to be like morally gray or whatever. So let's like just kind of tear all of that down and, you know, everyone's horrible, you know, everyone's out for themselves, blah, 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 that kind of stuff, you know, right? And it's like, oh, here's all the bitterness and junk like that, and without repose, right? Without true repose. It's just so funny how quick some people are to throw away those prospects of, you know, being a good person, right? But I guess that isn't too terribly surprising. In all honesty. But yeah, it's always nice to see a story that really does just tell a genuine story of heroism. Yeah, exactly there, Brunner. Yeah. It's like, well, yeah, you crushed their hope. You know? And it's no wonder why the younger generation, even younger than that, you know, talking like elementary age, is even becoming more depressed at that age, you know? It's like, well, geez, I wonder why. Right? I don't know. That's why I think there needs to be more good stories. And even for adults, for goodness sakes, right? And again, it doesn't need to be anything big. It's just so people can actually enjoy life. That's the important part, right? It's not about justification. It's just about enjoying something, right? All you give them is cynical nihilism and like what's to be enjoyed, you know? That's why I don't really do the whole existentialism thing. It's like in your pursuit to be clever, you become immensely like closed-minded. Well, yeah, I mean that's the whole point, is to have meaning. I mean, I have stories that are like, you know, hard, right? I'm not saying you can't do that, but when your when the whole payoff is, oh yeah, everything sucks. It's like, yeah, great job there, bud, you know? But I always have hope in my stories. Because it's a story, for goodness sakes, right? You know, it doesn't mean everything's gonna go right. That's life. Oops. I don't know. I like melancholic stuff as much as the next person, but it's in that melancholy that you can find like some really beautiful moments. You know? I think about, you know, my experiences, you know, health-wise and whatnot. You know, that stuff is hard, right? It's kind of brutal going through what I did when I was 19. But I'm alive. And I'm really glad I'm alive. What time is it? Oh my gosh, it's 9. Okay, we're in it for the long haul, people. I've been streaming for 2.5 hours. And we still have one more page to do after this. It'll be a quicker page, but yeah, so. Let's go. Let's do this. I'm actually going to open up my window because I'm tired. And it should no longer be a million degrees outside. Ugh. There. By the way, this is the other Zelda wave, if you couldn't guess. It just randomly showed up, which is perfect. So you've listened to them both. Good stuff. I don't typically do the whole, you know, nostalgia thing and everything like that. Especially considering that most of the time that's kind of built off of a false memory anyway. But I can appreciate a good style when I hear it. If it's well done. This actually should be this color. Let me try. Perfect. Okay. Done. Yeah, maybe they're Kid Pen. I don't know. Too many toggleable things that confused you? What kind of program? Yeah, I'm not sure they're Kid Pen. I think that unfortunately Yeah, there is a lot of cynicism. Like, people think that that validates things, you know? It's like, because otherwise, oh, you're just, you know, pretending, right? It's like, well, so are you. Because, oh, hey, yeah, that's right, you're making a movie. Like, you know, it doesn't have to be all rose blooms and cherries and lollipops and crap, but, like, come on, you know? I think that's part of that self-indulgent kind of culture that we were talking about earlier. It's almost this indulgence in suffering, more or less, where it's like, oh yeah, I'm being real, you know. It's like, not really. 'Cause at the end of the day, you're still basing your whole life around fiction. Tell me what's real about that. Oh, Krita. Well, Krita's good for free. It's been so long since I've used Krita. I could give you a rundown if I still had it. Generally speaking, all programs are the same. Like, if you know what you're looking for in one drawing program, you know what you're looking for in all of them, pretty much. It's been fairly standardized for a while, but it's kind of hard to show that. You just need to learn the language. Honestly, I recommend just kind of exploring around with the program, not coming in with any expectation. Do that first. And just, like, literally, like, just finger paint with it, basically. Just, like, make shapes and just random junk, right? Just really get familiar with the layout. Dang it. Honestly, I don't even think... I don't know. I don't really even look at fiction in that way myself. I look at fiction as being an exploration of an idea not present in reality, right? In a very controlled manner, right? In this very, like... It's just exploration, right? That's all it needs to be, right? I don't know. I feel like too often people put all these expectations on fiction. Like, in order for it to be valid, it has to have some kind of like measurable response, right? Yeah, that definitely does make it harder for sure. But there's ways of drawing stuff. Like I was showing the other day, you know, you can use like a marquee and, you know, some clever I can't do that actually. Color stuff to, you know, get some really good results, right? So it's all about just playing around with the program and just having fun, you know. But I certainly think that the exploration of ideas, you know, the encouragement of imagination, that's what I would call it. Not necessarily like, oh, this is who I want to be kind of stuff, but like, here's something to think about kind of stuff. Here's something to kind of get the brain going, right? Because even like scientific discoveries, like who was it? Was it Einstein who said never underestimate the power of imagination in science or something like that? Because yeah, it starts with our ability to so abstractly think. Like that is a very like fascinating thing about the human mind is how abstract we can go, and it can actually get us in trouble, honestly. But it's very true. Like it's incredible how much we're able to just invent. Just the idea of invention, you know, to think things into being almost, you know, kind of thing, right? Just by the, you know, usage of our environment or whatever, right? By that goal. I do think that that's something that's relevant to fiction, is, you know, this perception. It's almost like a starting point for this idea of a goal. So in that way, you know, it kind of carries that idea that you're talking about. Yeah, I mean, I don't have, like, anything and everything, like, anything can exist for the most part, right? Like, I'm not gonna tell whoever what kind of movie they could make, unless it is actually, like, straight up, like, damaging. And then it's like, okay, like, that, yeah, maybe you shouldn't be encouraging, like, bombing buildings or something like that. But, like, still, like, you know, I'm not gonna be, like, the police force when it comes to fiction. I will give my honest thought, though, and my honest thought on cynicism is that it is reductive and should not really be paid attention to, right? And so I think in that way that can really you know, that should in theory kind of balance things out, right? It's like if everything's cynical, right, then it's like, okay, like, guys, what are you doing, right? And I think a lot of people are there. I don't think I'm alone in that. And you know, at the same time, if you're all ditzy and like goofy all the time, then that's just as lame, right? But you know, it's like being edgy isn't fun. Being a goofball every second of every day isn't fun. Like, kind of have some, you know, nuance, right? Maybe that's what we're missing is nuance. And kind of going back to Donkey Kong, funny enough, we're listening to Donkey Kong Country too. Like, yeah, you got, you know, the goofy big gorilla, you know, wanting to get his bananas back, but then you got, like, ambient, aquatic ambience, right? It just gives a totally different atmosphere, right? This genuine atmosphere. It's genuine, right? That's the big part. Is, do you come at it genuinely, or are you trying to kind of like hide behind this shield of, you know, whatever? I don't know. I guess that's the root of it, right? Is I think people want something genuine, and they haven't had that in a long time. Or rather, it's in demand, but certainly short in supply. Yeah. Well, unfortunately, the full spectrum means taking risks, and, you know, can't have that. So, and I think that even further illustrates one of the deeper issues, and that is, at the end of the day, it's a money game. You know, we're not even talking about art to a degree. I mean, we are, but they don't care. You know, it's like that's not what pushes it, right? And that's an age-old conundrum, right? That's nothing new, not even remotely. But in the midst of it, you can find something genuine. And hey, that's worth focusing on. And hey, that's what the whole Iron Age is about, near as I can tell. I just hope in their own way that they don't become cynical. Or even kind of go the opposite direction. Things have a tendency to do that, unfortunately. People get a little bit overzealous. But we'll see. Oh, dang it. This is Donkey Kong Country 2 Jib Jig. This is one of the early songs in the game. This is one of my favorites, actually, from the series. This is the restored version, though. This is actually a really cool project that happened a few years back, where they actually worked with the original composer and found the original samples that were used and compressed onto the SNES sound chip and recreated the song as it basically should sound, quote unquote. So it's, you know, not compressed, essentially. Really cool project. Here, actually, you know, we'll leave that. Yeah, it's really cool. It's a really neat project. Maybe he has a bronze tip on his. Oh, let's see. Yeah, sure, why not? Yeah. I probably should figure out the mechanism by which this tip of this thing is attached. Because chances are, if the tip breaks, you can just replace it. A lot of good songs sound way better after they've been remastered. Well, yeah, especially when you're coming from something like Super Nintendo, where it's a great console and it sounds really good. It genuinely sounds good, but you know, it's obviously a compromise. It's going to be a compromise. So if you can go back and recreate it not only with the original equipment, but the actual samples themselves and stuff like that, not just in spirit, but actually with the original like bones, basically, then that's really cool. That's a very genuine recreation. I think that's the other factor, you know, funny enough, talking about like actually genuine stuff, right? It's like I'm more as far as video games go, I'm more excited for like fan projects than I am AAA stuff. I'm more excited about Sky Oblivion than I am Elder Scrolls 6, to be honest. Gotta get going there, Kidpen. All right, I appreciate you stopping by for so long. It's definitely gonna be a long one. We're not. We still got a ways to go, actually. So, but I really do appreciate you stopping by. It was really fun. Hope to see you again soon. Take care. Let's. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just looking for stuff that's just genuine and different. I watched actually funny enough, I watched a documentary from like 2000 or 2002 or something like that on the creation of Age of Empires 2 and Age of Empires in general. And it's like, man, like it's no wonder why things are the way they are. It really isn't. Because like so many things one second. Just you can just tell when a studio is actually made up of people who want to be there, basically, right? Or maybe it's not even that they don't want to be there, but it's so clear when it's like just the creators like doing their thing, right? Again, just genuine. Just, it's like, man, I almost forgot what that was like. I almost forgot what that looked like. You get it in the indie sphere a bit. Even that can be questionable at times. But yeah, I don't know. It's getting to the point where I'm getting tired and I gotta finish this up quick or else I'm not gonna have the energy to keep going here. I might take tomorrow off depending. I would like to get started on lighting tomorrow, but we'll see. Crowsworn. Crowsworn. I've not heard of that. Let me look at that here. Crowsworn. What are you? Explore a dark world inhabited by men and monsters in Crowsworn, an action-packed platform with an interconnected world. So it sounds like it's a bit of a Metroidvania. Okay, very Hollow Knight-esque. Which isn't a bad thing. If it's good, that's cool. I don't know. I don't know if I'd be excited for this or not. Maybe. I really liked Hollow Knight. I'm not really a big fan of the, like, you know, kind of Plague Mask, sort of Victorian-esque sort of style, you know, Bloodborne-esque. It's not really my thing. I know that's a very popular style. But, I mean, if it plays good, then, you know. Kind of the gothic horror, I guess you could call it. Looks pretty fun. Yeah, maybe one day. You want to know something really funny, man? So this song's obviously from Minecraft, right? My perception of Minecraft is so skewed. Because, like, in my mind, I'm like, yeah, you know, I kind of stopped playing after the new update, you know, when they added horses. And it's like, bro, they added horses like 10 years ago. And I'm just like, huh, yeah, they did, didn't they? I've played it since then, but I'm just like, man, like, yeah, that's crazy to me. This is one I still need to beat. This is Outer Wilds. Talk about a genuine experience. That was a fantastic game. It deserved the praise that it got. Did I just not like? No. I just that was around the time that I wouldn't say I stopped play. It's not like I stopped. You know, I always came back to it, and I still enjoy Minecraft. It's just I have a hard time getting into it like other people, I think. And I think part of it is because like my job, quote unquote, is to be like creative, right? So when I get into Minecraft, the last thing I want to do is like think about building something. But that's kind of, you know, the whole shebang when it comes to Minecraft. And you can do other things, but there's not that much. Like once I hit diamond, like every time, even if I'm in the middle of a build project, it's like I just start getting bored. And it's not necessarily the game's fault, it's just me. It's just a me thing. It's still a great game, and I still do enjoy playing it, especially with people, but yeah. Oops. But yeah, so it was around that time. I mean, that was like 2014, so I was like, I think that's when Horses came out, so I was like a junior in high school, senior in high school around that time. So, you know, I just kind of fell out a little bit. Didn't play it as much with friends around that time. And just never really got back into it. Just cause. I actually thought horses were a pretty cool addition to Minecraft, and in fact, I actually really liked one of the latest updates, the Underdark, because it was like it was a whole new realm, right? It was like this was a like nether level addition to the game. It's like, okay, that's pretty cool, right? So that did kind of rejuvenate my interest for a time. Didn't really stick to it, and I don't know. At some point I'd like to go back, but I don't know. Just yeah. Let's see here. Okay, almost done with this page. Should be nice. I'm actually starting to get hungry. I'm gonna be cooking burritos tonight. That'll be nice. And then lighting. I'm hoping lighting goes pretty quick, but we'll see. I guess it'll depend. Honestly, the line work on this panel is pretty lazy. I'm not gonna lie, but oh well. Sometimes I look at stuff and I'm just like, ugh, gosh. But you know, like I said, I can only do so much, so I gotta be realistic. What is this? Celeste. I never played Celeste. Heard it was good. And the background will be handled next week. So we'll see how long this chapter takes to color. Okay, last page. Okay, so I have. Yeah. It's nice and easy, and I'm like 80% sure that none of it will get flagged, so that's nice. I got flagged yesterday. I got a message like, "Oh, your stream has been like freaking nuked," by the way, because you played like 3 seconds of Little Dark Age. So yeah, now Russia can't see it. And my first thought was, isn't YouTube banned in Russia already, or something? I don't know. But either way, I didn't really care. So it's whatever. Okay, so let's go back to this page. Let's grab his skin tone. Man, I'm so excited to show you guys this character. We are going to have so much fun. Yeah, YouTube. YouTube's gonna YouTube. And like, I literally played like less than 5 seconds of the song. Like, out of everything I played, I specifically even said, I was like, oh, I can't play that, and I freaking stopped it. I played like less than 5 seconds of the song. That still got it flagged. It's like, good grief. Have I considered using Rumble? I've thought about it, but like, I know that a lot of, I know that there's a lot of diversity on Rumble, but it still kind of like seems to cater more towards the like political crowd, and I'm just not. Like, I know I can make my own space on it for whatever, right? But still, right? I mean, I know YouTube is like not exactly squeaky clean. But, you know, I don't know. I just want a stinking normal freaking platform. Is that too much to ask? But yeah, so I don't know. Maybe at some point. I've been considering maybe alternatives. I don't know what yet, but I'm not doing Twitch. I came from Twitch. But yeah, I mean, it's not like there's any discoverability on YouTube anyway, so I'm not exactly married to YouTube. I'm also not against like dual casting, because I can actually do that as opposed to freaking Twitch, which I think you can now. But when I'm an affiliate on Twitch, and you're supposed to not dual cast, I was like, okay, whatever, I'll just stream on Twitch. And then they friggin' like proceeded to like systematically destroy their own platform. So, you know, that was fun. Oh, that shouldn't be. I'm an idiot. Doggone it. Can you guess what I did wrong? I'm on the wrong layer. Oh, joy. Click the layer below. Oh, wait. Click the layer below. There we go. Fixed it. Oops. Okay. We need to erase. Let's see. What color is his mask? Is it that color? Actually, yeah. Actually, you know, hold on. We will do that, and then we are going to do this. Oops. Where's okay? Pink. Cream color, and then the lenses will be green. With a red highlight, like an orange highlight, but like a bright orange red highlight. And this is Fear Factory, I think. Yeah, this is a very good song. And then this, this. I might change that, honestly, but we'll see. Might darken the green or lighten the orange, I'm not sure. And then you, man, I'm starting to get hungry, honestly. This is the longest I've worked in a while. On this, anyway. It's kind of sad, honestly. Okay, his back head thingy. Oh man, I don't want to stop yet because we're so close. I may need to take tomorrow easy, but we'll see. Let's go for more of the head band will be, yeah, kind of a dark grayish. Get through. Where's it getting through? Oh, that's right. And these arms will follow suit. Jungle hijinks. Let's see. Island swing. Close. I don't know. It might be an alternate name. Either that, or I think that might be the name of the level you're thinking of. I'm gonna have to go back and play DK. I still need to beat Donkey Kong 64, actually. Come to think of it. Yeah, because that definitely sounds familiar. So I think you're just thinking of the name of the level. Yeah, funny enough, I haven't really played the new ones all that much. I have a Wii and everything. I was looking at my library for my Wii the other day, because I've been kind of, you know, getting into homebrew a bit with it, and I realized like I had all of like 3 games for the Wii. I had Twilight Princess, Super Smash Bros. Brawl, and like A Boy and His Blob. That's like the 3 games I had for the Wii. And one of them is like not even like a main title, right? Not even like a Mario Galaxy or something, right? But I had Brawl, like that's all I needed to justify getting that console, pretty much. And then of course I had like Wii Sports and stuff like that, but like I don't, yeah, whatever. Yeah, I thought that was so funny when I realized that. I was like, oh my gosh, I had like no actual like Wii games, like console games for this thing. And I don't know why. Well, actually, no, I do. It's because I got a 360 not too much longer as well. And, you know, you can only get so many games, right? And I wanted to play Halo. So I did, and it was a good time. But, I've been looking at the Wii library and being like, wait a minute, hold on. There's a lot of good games on this console that I never played and never had. What the heck? What was wrong with me? Like, I never got Return to Dreamland, and I love Kirby. Like, I will play the heck out of Kirby. But I never got Return to Dreamland. Never got the Galaxy games. I never actually got Skyward Sword either, funny enough. I borrowed it from someone for, you know, a week or so. Didn't beat it. But honestly got bored. Well, let me tell you, man, it is a heck of a machine if you ever decide to homebrew it. Don't tell Mr. Miyamoto. But it's great for that. Great for emulation. Great for, honestly, like, if you want to hold a bunch of, like, GameCube games and stuff like that and not have to worry about having discs in the console, of course. It's a little bit of work to set up, but once you kind of figure it out, it's actually pretty routine. It's pretty straightforward. And then on top of that, you can actually do ROM hacks as well. I've been playing a ROM hack via Virtual Console for Ocarina of Time, and it has been a good time for the most part. The dungeon I've been stuck on has kind of been a piece of garbage, but yeah, the rest have been good, so I'll give it to him. For fan-made, it's not bad. Not bad at all. Gotta do hardcore mode. Yeah, I just couldn't get into Skyward Sword. I think part of it was, you know, I'd grown up. And that's not to say, like, oh, Zelda games, you know, blah, blah, blah. No, like, I was expecting, like, perhaps unfairly the same experience as when I played Twilight Princess, where, like, that game took me a few years to beat. Ah, doggone it. But of course, you know, that's not how games go when you get older. Actually, hold on. I want to do more of a green. Yeah, there we go. The top is going to be cream color. There we go. And then I have the cloak planned out. Oops. Kind of. That almost catches everything. Actually, I want to. Oops. Yeah, thank goodness nothing else is going to take all that long. I'm getting hungry. Honestly, I don't need to do that, but whatever. Well, it was, I mean, yeah, but like, it was more of a, like, Skyward Sword, I felt like I was just kind of breezing through, right? And so it didn't have, like, as much of an impact. I was just, you know, kind of going through the motions of playing the game. And what it ultimately was, you know, when you play games when you're a little kid, like, you know, up to about, like, 10, 11, maybe even 12, 12 or 13 or something like that. You know, you play them and, like, everything's kind of a challenge, right? Because, you know, you're dumb as rocks and don't know what you're doing. And so when it came to Skyward Sword, I was just like, wait, I'm at the second dungeon already? It's been 2 days. You know? And then I have to be, you know, generic video game review dude and say I didn't care for the controls. Dang it. underside is this color. Hold on, I might actually be... No, that's not gonna work either. Honestly, though, that's what's been really great about playing this ROM hack, Sealed Palace, is it... I mean, I thought that experience was, like, gone, right? Like, that sense of, like... Specifically, like, being stuck on a spot for, like, a long time, right? And I still get through it faster than typical, right? It's not like I'm completely, like, oblivious. But... it's still, like, I don't know, Skyward Sword, the answers always felt really obvious. And same, even with, like, Breath of the Wild, the dungeons in Breath of the Wild, I think that's what made them so weak, honestly. One of the reasons. The game overall was really fun, but the dungeons were a bit weak. But what it came down to, I think, was because it was, like, I would walk in, like, and in 1 hour I'd be done with the dungeon, because, like, it's like, oh, I need to do this, and done, you know? Yeah, they did change the controls. It feels kind of weird swinging your sword with the right stick. Yeah. I don't know. It just didn't really catch me, that one. I wasn't particularly gunning to get that one again. So I might have actually screwed up here. Whatever. I think the last good Zelda that wasn't a remake was The Link Between Worlds. Yeah, I never played that one. I thought it was really... it looked really good. I never had a 3DS. Honestly, I think that Breath of the Wild was good, even as a Zelda. I know that the whole thing is like, oh, it's a good game. It's not a good Zelda game. I think it's a good Zelda game, and I really, at the end of the day, I don't particularly mind them really like going like, okay, let's try something else, you know. And even though like it wasn't perfect and everything like that, I can really appreciate that, because that's what, like, honestly, it's because of Skyward Sword, right? Because, like, I felt like Skyward Sword was half trying to do something new, but it was afraid to. That was the impression and the feeling I got from it. That was my impression anyway. I know there's a lot of people who really enjoy it regardless. And it's like, cool. There we go. Okay, his glove is the same color on this side. Oh man, we're almost done. Then I can eat. I should have done one more page the other night, but I got lazy. I was kind of tired yesterday. Had a busy weekend. I'll do that. And as far as this goes, we want a sort of porcelain arm. Oh shoot. Whatever. I'll just correct it later. So yeah, there we go. I'll color this in as well. There we go. And actually we'll do that with the shading, honestly. It's easier to do it that way. Okay, almost got this. I want to eat. Don't starve yourself. I know I'm right at the end, so. I'm gonna have big old burritos and be done for the night. Let's see here. Pants. We do a darker shade of brown. Yeah. Now this one. Oh, that's not what I was expecting it to be called. I still need to beat Super Mario RPG. I've got to hook that up and go. I also need to beat A Link to the Past. Yeah. Honestly, I'm not the kind of person who, like... I'm not a fan of Dark Souls. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not looking for, like... just stupid levels of difficulty, but it is nice to have a bit of a challenge. But yeah, like when it's like... Okay, I've got 20 hearts and I maybe use like 7 of them at max. Right? It is a little bit funny. It's gotta be something to learn, right? Something to, you know, sink your teeth into. That isn't just stupid pattern memorization for 17 hours. I don't know. I don't think combat Here's my hot take. I don't think combat should be memorization of patterns. I think it should be reaction to certain, like, things based on ability, right? Being able to adapt. That's why Fear had such good combat, man. Then everybody complained about it, and then they went to Dark Souls and were like, this is the best thing ever. Oh, did it go down again? Oh, man. Boy, YouTube's not liking these longer streams, huh? Man, I used to stream back in like 2017, 2018. Boy, I used to stream 8 hours a day, man. It was fantastic. Yeah, we'll go with that. Well, maybe more gray, yeah. And we grab these so that we can do this and select it. So color everything. We have to also color the rope and probably differentiate some of the components here. Okay, let's go. This gauntlet reel is going to be fun to deal with. There we go. He's a very beige character. I think his rope will probably be red, so you can see it easier. Because it doesn't, it's not like fishing. So he's a fisherman out in the desert, right? So it is like fishing, but it's not like fishing. Basically, like, they can't, the fish can't see, or the worms, or whatever they are, can't see. So he can get away with having a brightly lit line so that he can easily see where the line goes and stuff like that. Makes it easier to track where the line goes. That's important for his technique. So now the rope. Actually, hold on. Okay, let's do the rope here. The rope will be kind of a red twine-like kind of material. Brighter than that. Ugh, goodness. Oh. Okay, we're almost done here. Just a little bit more. Okay. shoot. That got it. There we go. Okay. And up. I kind of agree with you. I mean, I do, but I can appreciate a game where you just move through the world if it's engaging. Like a good example, like Shadow of the Colossus, right? Where it's just you're in this very open environment going from one place to the other, right? And I think Wind Waker kind of catches on that. I can understand people not being a fan of it because it does take a while, but I don't know. I kind of like that. I kind of like stuff like that, but I actually, what I don't like is when it's like kind of pretentious about it. Like, truth be, like a lot of open world games where it's like there's something every 5 feet, but it's like the same thing every time, right? And it's just like generic shooty McShooty, or like go through dungeon and do all the same things, right? It just, I don't know. I would rather have just an interesting world to travel through and travel through it than have a world full of stuff that is just the same, you know? That's me. I get why people don't care for the sailing, though. But it was really funny when I was streaming on, wait, shoot. When I was streaming on Twitch, I streamed Wind Waker, and I streamed the original, because obviously the remake had been out for a number of years by that point. And when I was streaming it, someone came in and was like, "Oh, good, you're playing the original. That's that's this quest will what separate, like, that says something along the lines, separates the men from the boys or something like that." I'm like, yeah, I kind of dig sailing around. It's kind of fun. Ooh, what's this one? This is Donkey Kong Country 3. Mill Fever. Fun. Alright, we are almost done. Hold on, maybe I can... Yeah. Okay, I might work on that a little bit more later. This rock is going to be colored the same as... I guess there's a couple of things there. As, where is... I don't know, that rock, I guess? I don't know. Nah, you know what? Screw it. We're going to color it the same as this. Okay, that is flat for the most part. Done. There's a couple of things I might touch up here and there, some color scheme stuff, but for the most part, that is done. Good diversions from the main quest, yeah. All right. Oh, one more thing. Dang it. This. Oh, whoops. So let's do this, and we're gonna do just a bronze ring Bronze is a very important material. And then this banner will be kind of a bright red. That's relevant. Okay. Oh, goodness, man. All right. Okay, there might be a few things to touch up in the future, but for now, I'm done. I'm really tired. It is 10 o'clock. I've been streaming for almost 4 hours. Boy, yeah, that'll take it out of you. But we got the pages done. I was not expecting it to take me that long, but, you know. Some of these pages were a little bit challenging. I am not super sure about the color on this, but maybe it'll work for the base color. We'll see. We'll see. Either way, thanks for sticking with me there, Guilty Gearhead, and thanks for everyone who stopped by. I really do appreciate it. I will be back next week on Tuesday. I'm probably going to take next week off, or easy. I'm going to be real. I'm hungry. But, with all that being said, definitely back next week. Hopefully working on coloring, or finishing up pages, which is super excited, because once these pages are done, baby, that's, oh boy, that's a big step. So that's going to be chapter 2 done. So my goal is before the end of this month, so going to really aim for that. That being said, thank you guys so much for stopping by. Catch you later. Bye.